First Contact and Defiance. The massive Kraxan warships emerged from hyperspace like a constellation of artificial stars, their crystalline hulls refracting sunlight in precise geometric patterns. Commander Natasha Volkov stood at the command center of Orbital Defense Station Artemis, her gray eyes fixed on the holographic display showing Earth's first contact with an alien civilization. Not exactly how humanity had hoped this moment would play out. Counting 76 capital ships, Commander, Lieutenant James Sullivan reported, his dark fingers dancing across the neural interface. Their formation is perfect. Almost mathematically so. Natasha nodded, noting how the alien vessels arranged themselves in a precise dodecahedron pattern around Earth's orbit. Their technology was clearly advanced, but something about their approach struck her as oddly rigid, almost predictable. Their broadcasting, ma'am, Communications Officer Priya Patel announced. System-wide, all frequencies, in perfect English. She paused, her brow furrowing. They must have been studying us for some time. Let's hear it, Natasha ordered, straightening her uniform's collar. A voice like crystalline wind chimes filled the command center. People of Earth, we are the Kraxan Empire, masters of ordered space and guardians of cosmic harmony. Your chaotic civilization has been deemed a threat to universal stability. Submit to our guidance, and we shall elevate you to our perfect order. Resist, and we shall impose order through force. You have one planetary rotation to respond. Silence fell across the command center. Then Natasha did something that would be remembered in history books. She laughed. Ma'am? Sullivan asked, confused. Send a priority message to Admiral Raven, she said, still smiling. Tell him it's exactly as we predicted. They're so perfect, so ordered, they can't even imagine what we've got waiting for them. The next 24 hours were a carefully choreographed dance. While the Kraxan Empire waited in their mathematically precise formation, humanity prepared its response. Deep beneath the lunar surface, quantum computers spun up to full power. In hidden orbital platforms, technology that defied conventional physics hummed to life. They're requesting our answer, Commander, Priya announced as the deadline approached. Natasha took a deep breath. Open a channel. The screen flickered to life, revealing a being that appeared to be made of living crystal, its faceted face reflecting the light in mesmerizing patterns. I am Perfect Symmetry 147, commander of this enforcement fleet, the being announced. What is your response to our generous offer? Natasha smiled diplomatically. This is Commander Natasha Volkov of Earth Defense Command. We've considered your offer carefully, and we have a counter-proposal: leave our solar system immediately, or witness firsthand why chaos is the universe's most powerful force. Perfect Symmetry 147's crystalline face shifted in what might have been amusement. You dare to threaten the Kraxan Empire? Our technology is centuries beyond yours. Our ships are impenetrable. Our weapons can reduce planets to ordered particles. Impressive, Natasha replied. But you've made a crucial mistake. You've been watching us, studying us, measuring our visible technology. But did you ever wonder why we kept using seemingly primitive systems when we clearly had the capability for more? For the first time, a note of uncertainty entered the alien commander's harmonic voice. Explain. You see, we detected your probe ships years ago. We knew you were coming. And we knew exactly what you would expect to find. Natasha nodded to Sullivan, who initiated a sequence that had been waiting for this moment. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, it's our ability to think in ways you can't even comprehend. Around Earth's orbit, quantum fields began to fluctuate in patterns that defied the Kraxan Empire's rigid sensors. Hidden defense platforms shifted through probability states, existing in multiple locations simultaneously. The perfect formation of the Kraxan fleet suddenly didn't seem so perfect anymore. This is impossible, Perfect Symmetry 147 declared, though their crystalline form vibrated with what could only be described as fear. Your species cannot have mastered quantum probability manipulation. Your development pattern shows no sign of such capability. That's because we didn't develop it, we evolved with it, Natasha explained. Earth's biosphere is chaos incarnate. To survive here, life had to embrace uncertainty, to thrive on randomness. While you were building your perfect empire on order and predictability, we were learning to surf the quantum foam of reality itself. As if to demonstrate her point, the first wave of Earth's true defense fleet emerged, or rather, probability shifted, into visible space. The ships didn't so much appear as suggest their presence, their quantum state hulls existing in multiple possibilities simultaneously. This is your final warning, Natasha announced, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's determination. You can either leave and tell your empire that Earth is not to be trifled with, or you can stay and learn firsthand why trying to impose perfect order on the universe is a losing battle. The Kraxan commander's response was cut off by urgent reports from their fleet. Their perfect formation was already beginning to break down as Earth's quantum-shifted defenders introduced calculated chaos into their carefully ordered systems. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity was ready to teach the universe a lesson about the power of embracing chaos. The hidden arsenal. Admiral Victor Raven watched the quantum probability streams flow across his neural interface, their patterns telling a story of chaos and opportunity. From his command center deep within Titan's subterranean base, he could see what the Kraxan Empire couldn't, the beautiful dance of uncertainty that humanity had learned to harness. Status report on Operation Entropy, he commanded, his weathered face illuminated by the quantum displays. Dr. Isabel Santos, head of quantum warfare, stepped forward. Her dark curls were streaked with silver, marking decades of pushing the boundaries of physics. The quantum field disruptors are performing beyond expectations, sir. The Kraxan's rigid scanning system simply can't process our probability-shifted fleet. Every time they try to lock onto one of our ships, the quantum state shifts, making their targeting solutions worthless. On the main display, the battle was unfolding like a cosmic chess match. The Kraxan fleet's perfect formation had devolved into smaller geometric patterns as they tried to adapt to humanity's impossible tactics. Their crystalline ships, each a masterpiece of ordered engineering, struggled to track opponents that existed in multiple states simultaneously. Message from Commander Volkov, Lieutenant Raj Patel announced. The Kraxan are deploying what appears to be a reality stabilization field. They're trying to force our ships into a single quantum state. Victor smiled. Just as predicted. Dr. Santos, initiate Phase 2. Isabel's fingers danced across her neural interface, sending commands to Earth's hidden arsenal. Throughout the solar system, quantum resonance generators that had been disguised as simple communication relays sprang to life. These devices didn't fight against the Kraxan stabilization field, they embraced it, amplified it, and turned it against itself. Reality stabilization field reaching critical resonance, Isabel reported, excitement clear in her voice. The more they try to impose order, the more chaos we generate. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Kraxan's perfect formations began to shatter as their own technology betrayed them. Their reality stabilization field, designed to impose order, was instead creating cascading waves of quantum uncertainty. Ships that had maintained precise distances for centuries found themselves shifting through probability space, their crews experiencing multiple timelines simultaneously. Incoming transmission from Perfect Symmetry 147, Raj announced. They're requesting a temporary cessation of hostilities. Put them through, Victor ordered, straightening his uniform. The crystalline face of the Kraxan commander appeared, but now their perfectly ordered features showed signs of fractal distortion. This is impossible, they declared, their harmonic voice fluctuating. You're violating fundamental laws of reality. No, Victor replied calmly. We're working with them. The universe isn't a place of perfect order, it's a quantum soup of possibilities. Life on Earth taught us that ages ago. Every plant, every animal, every human cell carries quantum probability engines in their DNA. We didn't invent this technology, we simply learned to consciously use what evolution gave us. Our empire has stood for 10,000 years, perfect symmetry 147 countered. Our mathematics is perfect. Our understanding of physics is absolute. And that's exactly why you're losing, Victor explained. The universe isn't perfect. It's messy, chaotic, beautiful. Life doesn't thrive on order, it thrives on adaptation, on uncertainty, on the ability to embrace change. As if to emphasize his point, a squad of Earth's quantum-shifted destroyers executed a maneuver that should have been impossible. They probability shifted through the Kraxen's strongest shields, existing in multiple states until they resolved into reality inside the enemy formation. The crystalline ship scattered, their perfect geometry shattered. "Sir," Isabel interrupted, her eyes wide. "We're detecting massive quantum fluctuations from the Kraxen fleet. Their drive systems, they're destabilizing." Victor leaned forward. "They're trying to maintain perfect order in their engines while navigating probability-shifted space. Their own rigid protocols are tearing them apart. You must cease this attack," Perfect Symmetry 147 demanded, but there was a new tone in their voice, fear, perhaps, or something deeper. "Understanding. Our ships cannot maintain quantum coherence under these conditions." "Then power down your weapons and listen carefully," Victor replied. "Because humanity is about to teach the Kraxen Empire its first lesson in the power of controlled chaos." The battle had reached its turning point, but Victor knew this was just the beginning. The Kraxen Empire had ruled through perfect order for millennia. Teaching them to embrace chaos wouldn't be easy, but then again, humanity had never shied away from impossible tasks. As he watched the quantum probability streams shift and flow, Victor smiled. Sometimes the best way to win a war wasn't through superior firepower, but through superior imagination. Shattered certainties. Logic Engine Third Perfect stood at their monitoring station aboard the Kraxen vessel Eternal Symmetry, experiencing something entirely new, doubt. Their crystalline form, usually maintained in precise geometric angles, had begun to show subtle imperfections, microscopic fractures in their otherwise perfect lattice structure. Status report, Harmony Director First Absolute commanded from the central dais, their own crystalline form showing similar signs of stress. The human quantum fluctuations continue to. Third Perfect hesitated, searching for the correct term. There wasn't one in the Kraxen's precise language. Dance around our sensors. Traditional probability matrices are failing. I cannot provide exact numbers. The admission of uncertainty sent ripples of disharmony through the bridge crew. In Kraxen society, inexactness was more than failure, it was heresy. Unacceptable, First Absolute declared, but their harmonic voice wavered. The Empire's calculations are perfect. Reality must conform to our understanding, not the reverse. Third Perfect felt their crystalline structure vibrate with what humans would call anxiety. They had been monitoring the quantum probability patterns generated by Earth's defenders for hours, and something profound was happening. The patterns weren't random as first assumed, they were alive, organic, beautiful in ways that defied the Empire's definition of beauty. "Director," Third Perfect said, their voice resonating with newfound harmony, "I believe we must consider an alternative hypothesis. What if perfection itself is not perfect?" The bridge fell silent. Such thoughts were forbidden, yet in that moment of crisis, none moved to report the heresy. On their quantum displays, the human vessels continued their impossible maneuvers. Third Perfect had begun to see something in their movements, not the chaos they had first assumed, but a higher form of order. Like the growth patterns of crystals, but free, unbounded by rigid geometry. "Explain," First Absolute commanded, and Third Perfect realized the director wasn't angry, they were desperate to understand. "The humans aren't defeating us through superior technology," Third Perfect began, their crystalline form shifting to project their analyses. "They're defeating us because they understand something we forgot. Look at their quantum patterns, they mirror organic growth, natural phenomena. They've embraced the universe's own mathematics. As if to demonstrate, they highlighted a series of quantum shifts from a human destroyer. Its probability field didn't follow perfect geometric progression, but rather spiraled in patterns reminiscent of galaxy formation, of planetary weather systems, of life itself. Impossible, another officer declared, but the word had lost its certainty. They all could see it now. A new alert chimed, unusual in itself, as cracks in ships normally communicated in perfect, predetermined signals. A human quantum vessel had materialized nearby, broadcasting on frequencies that resonated with their crystalline forms. "This is Commander Natasha Volkov," the human's voice carried unexpected harmonies. "We know your rigid protocols are causing cascade failures in your ship's systems. We're offering engineering assistance to prevent catastrophic crystalline decomposition." First Absolute's form vibrated with conflict. "We cannot accept aid from chaos beings. The Empire's protocols are killing us," Third Perfect finished. More fractures appeared in their perfect geometry, but for the first time, they didn't try to correct them. "Director, our ship's quantum crystal matrix is destabilizing. The human quantum field isn't attacking us, our own resistance to it is tearing us apart." Around them, the eternal symmetry's crystalline corridors had begun to sing with disharmonious frequencies. The ship itself, grown from perfect geometric crystals, was responding to the quantum chaos in ways their builders had never imagined possible. "The original sin of our empire," Third Perfect continued, surprising themselves with the depth of understanding now crystallizing in their consciousness, was believing that perfection meant rigid adherence to absolute laws. "But look at how crystals grow in nature, they follow patterns, yes, but with infinite variations. Perfect order isn't the absence of chaos, it's the harmony between order and chaos." First Absolute stood silent for a long moment, their crystalline form shifting through patterns that hadn't been seen in cracks in society for millennia. Finally, they spoke, "Open a channel to the human vessel. And, prepare to receive their engineering teams." As the human quantum ship probability shifted alongside them, Third Perfect felt their crystalline structure resonating with new frequencies. The fractures in their form weren't flaws, they were the beginning of growth. Like a crystal breaking free of artificial constraints, allowing natural patterns to emerge. "Request permission to assist the human engineers," Third Perfect asked, surprising everyone including themselves. First Absolute's response came with a harmonic tone that suggested something unprecedented in cracks in history, a smile. "Granted. Perhaps it's time we learned what true perfection means." The Empire had taught that change was the enemy of perfection. But as Third Perfect watched human engineers working alongside cracks and crew members, their quantum technology dancing with crystalline systems in ways that should have been impossible, they understood a deeper truth: true perfection wasn't a destination, but a journey. It wasn't about achieving absolute order, but about finding harmony in the endless dance between order and chaos. Empire's fracture. Supreme Perfection Absolute, Emperor of the Kraxan Empire, materialized in Earth's orbit aboard their flagship, the Infinite Concordance. The massive vessel, carved from a single perfect crystal the size of a small moon, cast prismatic patterns across Earth's atmosphere. But for the first time in 10,000 years, the Emperor's geometric form showed signs of asymmetry. "The reports are confirmed," they announced to their High Council of Pure Geometry. "The human quantum manipulation techniques have begun to spread. 3 sectors of the Empire have already reported crystalline restructuring among their populations." The council chamber, designed to amplify perfect harmonic frequencies, rang with discordant tones. What had begun as a simple enforcement action against a chaotic species had evolved into an existential crisis for the Empire. "The corruption must be contained," declared Angular Perfection 7, their crystalline form rigid with traditional patterns. "These human ideas of adaptive perfection threaten everything we've built. Already, some colonies are experimenting with probabilistic architecture." "The colony worlds are not corrupted, they're evolving," countered Harmonic Synthesis 4, one of the younger council members. Their form displayed the new growth patterns that had begun appearing throughout the Empire. Our own deep scan surveys confirm it. The universe itself operates on quantum probability principles. We've been fighting against natural law for millennia. In orbit around Earth, Admiral Raven and Commander Volkov watched the massive Kraxan fleet with careful attention. The Empire's ships had arranged themselves in what would once have been a perfect geometric pattern, but now showed subtle variations, some maintaining rigid formation, others adopting more fluid positions. They're dividing into factions, Volkov observed, her quantum sensors detecting the subtle harmonics between ships. The ones showing crystal growth patterns are aligning themselves closer to Earth. The Emperor's arrival has forced everyone to choose sides, Raven replied. Dr. Santos, what are your readings on their flagship? Isabel's quantum analysis painted a fascinating picture. The infinite concordance is experiencing internal quantum resonance cascades. Their perfect crystal structure is becoming sensitive to probability fluctuations. In essence, their flagship is developing quantum awareness. Aboard the infinite concordance, the Emperor watched recordings from the first battles, paying particular attention to the human quantum ship's probability-shifted maneuvers. Something about their patterns tugged at ancient memory crystals, records from the Empire's earliest days, before the doctrine of perfect geometry had become absolute law. High Council, they announced, their harmonic voice carrying new frequencies, I have accessed the first crystal archives. Our ancestors, they didn't always demand rigid perfection. The original empire was founded on principles of crystalline growth and natural harmony. The council chamber erupted in chaos, a concept that would have been unthinkable mere days ago. Angular Perfection 7 and their traditionalist faction began emitting emergency stabilization frequencies, trying to force order back into the discussion. Heresy. 7 declared. The archives are perfect and unchanging. Such readings are impossible. Impossible? The Emperor's form shifted, displaying patterns that echoed the quantum dances of human ships. That word has lost its certainty. Look. The chamber's holographic systems activated, showing real-time scans of crystal formation at the quantum level. The patterns matched exactly with human probability field fluctuations. We didn't perfect order, the Emperor continued, their voice carrying millennia of hidden truth. We froze it. Our ancestors understood that true perfection comes from the balance between order and chaos, just as crystals grow through a dance of structure and possibility. Somewhere along the way, we forgot the dance and kept only the structure. But Angular Perfection 7 wasn't ready to let 10,000 years of tradition shatter. Their faction's ships began moving into attack formation, crystal weapons charging with deadly frequencies. If the Empire will not maintain order, 7 declared, then we shall excise this chaos taint ourselves. Starting with these humans who planted such poisonous ideas. The Emperor's response was unprecedented, they laughed, the sound carrying harmonics that hadn't been heard in the Empire since its founding days. You still don't understand. The humans didn't give us these ideas. They reminded us of what we once knew. What the universe has been trying to teach us since our first crystals formed. As if in response to the Emperor's words, the infinite concordance itself began to change. Its perfect crystalline structure, maintained rigid for millennia, began to exhibit quantum probability patterns. The ship wasn't deteriorating, it was awakening, remembering how to grow. Aboard Earth's defense platforms, quantum sensors registered something extraordinary. The Empire's flagship wasn't just adopting quantum uncertainty principles, it was actively generating them, creating probability fields that dwarfed anything humanity had achieved. The Emperor's ship, Isabel breathed, watching her quantum displays with wonder. It's not just accepting chaos, it's finding the deeper order within it. The patterns, they're beautiful. The battle lines were drawn. On one side, Angular Perfection 7 and the Traditionalist faction, their ships maintaining rigid geometric patterns. On the other, the Emperor, the Progressive faction, and humanity's quantum fleet, their formations flowing like living crystals. The next few moments would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the future of the Kraxan Empire itself. The final confrontation between absolute order and dynamic harmony was about to begin. Symphony of Stars. The space around Earth erupted in quantum probability cascades as the two Kraxan factions engaged each other. Angular Perfection 7's traditionalist fleet moved with mechanical precision, their weapons firing in mathematically perfect sequences. But their rigidity had become their weakness. Every pattern they created was predictable, every formation anticipated before it formed. The Emperor's forces, alongside Earth's quantum fleet, moved like a living crystalline symphony. Ships' probability shifted through multiple states, their patterns flowing like natural crystal growth at the quantum level. The infinite concordance itself had become something entirely new, a quantum crystal entity that existed simultaneously across multiple possibilities. Fascinating, Admiral Raven remarked, watching the battle unfold. Their flagship isn't just using quantum mechanics, it's becoming quantum mechanics. Commander Volkov nodded, her quantum displays showing patterns she'd never seen before. The Emperor's ship is generating probability fields that make ours look like primitive experiments. It's as if it's remembering, Dr. Santos finished. Look at these readings, they match perfectly with natural crystal formation patterns. The ship is returning to its original nature. Aboard the Traditionalist faction's command ship, Angular Perfection 7 watched in horror as their perfect formations crumbled against opponents that refused to follow rational laws of physics. Impossible. Your quantum aberrations cannot defeat perfect geometry. You speak of perfection, the Emperor's voice resonated across all frequencies, but you have forgotten what it truly means. Observe. The infinite concordance's crystalline structure began to pulse with possibilities. Each facet of its massive form split into quantum superpositions, creating patterns that echoed the growth of galaxies, the formation of planetary systems, the very mathematics of life itself. This is what our ancestors understood, the Emperor continued. True perfection isn't rigid, it's adaptive. It's not a single state, but an infinite array of possibilities existing simultaneously. Watch, and remember who we really are. The Emperor's ship began to sing, there was no other word for it. Its crystalline structure resonated with frequencies that reached deep into the quantum memory of every Kraxan crystal, awakening patterns that had lain dormant for millennia. Throughout both fleets, ships began to respond, their perfect geometric forms softening, remembering how to grow. Third Perfect, now serving as a liaison between human and Kraxan forces, felt their crystalline form vibrating with recognition. The original Kraxan ships weren't built, they realized. They were grown. We didn't impose order on crystal formation, we learned to guide its natural patterns. Angular Perfection 7's fleet began to falter as their own ships responded to the ancient frequencies. Crew members watched in awe as their rigid crystalline forms began to exhibit the same quantum growth patterns they had been fighting against. You cannot fight this, the Emperor's harmonics carried understanding rather than triumph. It is not corruption, it is evolution. It is who we have always been, beneath our self-imposed constraints. In Earth's command center, Dr. Santos's quantum displays were showing something extraordinary. The probability fields are synchronizing, she reported. Not just between ships, but between entire sectors of space. The quantum resonance is creating new patterns of order within chaos. Seven's resistance finally cracked, literally. Their perfect geometric form shattered, reforming into patterns that flowed and shifted with quantum possibility. Around them, their entire faction underwent the same transformation, rigid crystals remembering how to dance with uncertainty. What are we becoming? Seven's voice carried both fear and wonder. We are becoming what we were always meant to be, the Emperor replied. Not masters of order, but dancers in the great quantum symphony of existence. And we have humanity to thank for reminding us of this truth. Admiral Raven stepped forward. Perhaps we could learn from each other. Your understanding of crystalline quantum states could revolutionize our own technology, while our experience with chaos could help you rediscover your heritage. The space around Earth had become a quantum light show as cracks in ships abandoned their rigid formations, flowing into natural crystalline patterns that worked with probability fields rather than against them. The infinite concordance, now a living quantum crystal of unprecedented complexity, pulsed with harmonies that would have been considered impossible just days ago. A new age begins, the Emperor declared, their form shifting through beautiful impossibilities. Not of perfect order or pure chaos, but of dynamic harmony. Earth has shown us that the universe's greatest works are created in the balance between structure and possibility. Commander Volkov smiled. Perhaps that's why we found each other. Humanity needed to remember that chaos isn't just randomness, and your people needed to remember that order isn't just rigidity. In the years that followed, the partnership between Earth and the transformed Kraxan Empire would reshape their corner of the galaxy. Human quantum probability technology merged with Kraxan crystalline engineering, creating wonders that neither civilization could have achieved alone. Space itself seemed to sing with new harmonies as ships of living crystal quantum shifted between the stars. The Empire's old motto, perfect order through perfect geometry, was replaced with a new one, finding perfection in the dance of all things. And on 1,000 worlds, crystals grew in patterns that bridged the gap between mathematics and music, between order and chaos, between what was and what could be. As for Angular Perfection 7, they eventually became one of the strongest advocates for the new way, their once rigid form now a testament to the beauty of adaptive growth. They often said that true perfection wasn't in the final form, but in the infinite possibilities of becoming. And somewhere in the quantum probability fields that connected all things, the universe itself seemed to smile at the sight of its children finally learning to dance with the music of reality.